Thrive Together Masterclass. Let me share my screen and we'll go through my slides together. Okay, so I'm Christos Miliankos, and for those of you that don't know me yet, I'm a father of five, and so I've had a lot of time to get used to what to do with children, if you like. Let me just go to here, excuse me. Yeah, I've had a lot of time to get used to knowing what kids need, knowing what helps them, knowing how they are healthier, and avoiding sickness. That's what we all want. We want to avoid sickness for our children and sickness for our families. Excuse me for a sec. Okay. So these are my five children. They're now aged between 16 and 21. And they're thriving. They are thriving. They all obviously have their ups and downs, and they don't listen to everything I say health wise, but they do a lot. And what I've trained them to do is to focus on what makes them thrive. So everyone is different, and all of my five children are completely different to each other, and to me and Sandy, and they've all come with a different personality. And yes, they have our genetics, but they all have different nurture points. And that's really important for us to consider that when thinking about our own children, in the sense that they're not going to be the same as their brother or sister or their mum and dad. They're going to have their own uniqueness. They're going to take some things from you, but they're going to have their own uniqueness. And that's a really good place to start when we think about how we can make our children healthier. And when the children are healthy, our whole family's happier. So one of the most important things is that we want to have our immune systems stronger. So when we get sick over and over, when we have that cycle of illness that you're in, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting colder, it's almost winter, and, the cycle of, little bugs coming into childcare or schools and then bringing them home is starting. And here in the Southern Hemisphere, that hasn't stopped. It's spring now, and there's lots of issues with pollens and other bugs and things like that. So the immune system, strengthening that initially is the most important thing. Because when our immune systems are strong, then we can cope with those bugs that come home. Because you're not going to be able to stop those. You're not going to be able to stop the millions of viruses and bugs that are around in our environment. But we can make ourselves stronger. So that's what we're going to focus on. To do that, nutrition is really important. So when we are getting sick over and over, the weakening immune systems is one, but poor nutrition is another. So we need to put good stuff into our bodies. We need to make sure that we're having good fuel. Now, we wouldn't put the wrong fuel in our car. And many of us have, really great new cars and put in the most expensive fuel because we want to look after it. We need to do that to our bodies too. And that doesn't mean you can't have fun, but it means that we need to focus on that most of the time. Okay. Insufficient sleep is another one. So we grow when we sleep, we heal when we sleep. We need to have enough sleep. And children, especially younger children, will need more than we do. If you've got older children, like teenagers, it's hard to get them out of bed. But if you've got younger kids, they're the ones that, getting up at 5 and 6 and waking you up, and the whole process of getting tired and your immune system getting more depleted starts. And also high stress levels. One of the biggest things is having more cortisol in your body, which creates more stress levels, which makes you feel weaker and more tired and depresses our immune system. So we want to focus on all of those to make our families healthier. Now, my Strive Together program focuses on that in a 6-week program, which I'm going to tell you more about at the end. But we focus on nutrition for a start, because nutrition, as I said, is super important with what we put into our bodies. Then we all get sick. All things happen. We have an accident, we fall over, and we want to have really quick home remedies, homeopathic remedies and other home remedies with things that we've got in our pantries that we can help our children, that we can help ourselves with those. So we're going to focus on that a lot in week 2, but I'll give you some little tidbits of that today. So today is going to be a showcase of the Thrive Together program. And I want you to go away from today knowing more about what your drivers are depending on the iris color, and also having a few really great tips on all of these areas. Like detoxifying our home, some of the chemicals we use in our environment, we would never put in our bodies, but we use them in our environment. And it has a detrimental effect in many ways. So we want to talk about other ways. We want to detox our home as well as our bodies. Boosting the kids' immunity is super important, and vitamin C is one of the best ones. I mean, vitamin C children find quite yummy. Zinc's another one, and there's lots of herbs, which we'll talk about in a sec. As we said, restful sleep is super important. And you know what? If we're not having enough sleep, we're tired, we're cranky, we've got more stress in our bodies. We all know that. And as a young parent, I remember just coping. You all we can do is really just cope. So having enough sleep is really important. We're going to talk about how to make that better. And one of the best ways is using magnesium. Magnesium before bed is a really great way to get more of a restful sleep. I've been using magnesium quite a lot lately with people that are teeth grinding, and humongous results, and getting more sleep. And if a child gets more sleep, or if you get more sleep, or your partner gets more sleep, everyone ends up being happier. So thriving together is the name of the program because there's no point one of us thriving. We want to thrive together as a family. And we also live in a digital world where screen time is very important for children and for adults and teenagers. And we want to work out how to balance that, how to get a really good balance. So that's one thing we focus on as well. So I'm going to come back to the program towards the end. When we're talking about nutrition, we really want to talk about things that are easy and fun and yummy as well. So these are part of the ebooks that you have available to you as part of this masterclass. So if you go to the Facebook page and you look under files, you will be able to see these ebooks, and you'll be able to see these recipes and other tips that you have that I've shared with you. So children love to be involved in cooking. So making things where they can whisk the eggs, where they can cut up the bacon, or they can cut up the chives or the capsicum and things like that are really great. And what we used to do as when we were parents, like we had kids that didn't like some things, but we'd give them an option that they couldn't like one or two vegetables, and then we wouldn't use those when we're making the meal. However, there's some children who only like one or two. So, then there's a bit of a dancing act there as well. But there's always ways to get vegetables into children. And that can be in bolognese where you grate it really finely. We love egg muffins. And as you can see, there's no pastry. They're just egg. You mix it with things that you love. Could be capsicum, it could be parsley, it could be it could even be bacon. I don't necessarily think bacon's an amazing food, but if that's a little bit of bacon in a mix of all those eggs, sometimes you need to give and take as well with children. And when we talk about the eyes, I'll also introduce my 80-15-5 rule, which I think you'll really love. So you might look at this picture and you might think pancakes, they're not that good for us. There are lots of carbohydrates, but sometimes we need carbohydrates. With children that are growing so fast, they're playing lots of sports, carbohydrates are great. However, we could say, oh, well, yeah, but all they eat is pancakes. But however, we can make the pancakes with gluten-free flour. We can make the pancakes with spelt flour, with buckwheat flour, and other things that are more wholesome rather than white flour. Now, to be honest, I'm going to hardly mention white flour because it has no nutrition. I mean, if our kids are eating white bread, it fills their gut and that's all. It's just sugar. There's no nutrition in it. So I really want you to think about that. And if you make only one change from the masterclass, use some whole grains rather than white flour products. But you can see that these pancakes can be really fun. They've got fruit, they've got spelt flour and gluten-free flour, they've got almond milk and an egg in them, and you can add yogurt to the top. You can add other, coconut yogurt. You can add other things. Then you can add maple syrup or really good honey. As long as you're using good quality products, maple syrup and honey can be quite healthy for us as well. So make what we're serving to our kids look fun. Kids love things that look fun. Here's another one. Happy berry smoothie. And we can use berries, we can use citrus, we can use a few greens, like a few if you add like 5 leaves of spinach, it's not going to change the color that much, but it's going to add a lot of nutrition. What I love adding into kids' smoothies is nuts, because nuts and seeds are something that kids don't eat as much of, especially seeds. And also when they eat them, they just chew them, not very much. They chew them just a little bit and they try and swallow them, and that makes it really hard for our gut. So you can see that this smoothie is looks yummy. It looks pink. It's very, very tasty. You can add some honey to it as well. And if you add a few nuts, it really increases the amount of zinc and the amount of magnesium in them. So when you're serving things up to kids, try and make it fun. We all love things that look fun, and our kids do as well. I was saying before that all kids are different. And these are the irises of my five children in order, from Yasmina, who's my oldest, to Amelia, who's my youngest. And as you can see, they all are completely different. I mean, they all come from a blue family, the lymphatic family, but some of them have jewels, some of them have flowers, some of them has very straight fibers. We're talking about the fibers that go from the pupil to the edge. Now, the closer the fibers, the more resilient those people are. Now, if I show you the next chart, this is a resiliency a ratings chart. So you can see 1 and 2 where the fibers are really close together, and then 3 and 4 where they open up a bit more, and all the way to 9 and 10 where they're really open. They've got lots of flowers in them. Okay, the people that have really tight fibers are more resilient. It doesn't mean that they're going to be healthier. It means that they're more resilient in the sense that they can cope more with some, more bugs around the childcare centre, or more, more food that isn't as good for them. Doesn't mean they're going to be healthier, but they can cope a bit better. So it's really important for us to know our children. So I would recommend you take a photo of their eyes and zoom it up a little bit so you can see the rating, and see what rating they are. Are they really resilient, or are they really open? And when they're really open, they still need to be really healthy, and there's lots of ways to do that. It just takes a different dynamic. And we focus on that a lot in the Thrive Together program. What we're going to do now is to have a start of where we are in our health. We're going to just look at the color of our eyes. So I want you to think about your own eyes. There's only 3 different colors. There's blue, brown, and mixed. And some of you may be saying, yeah, but I've got hazel eyes, or I've got green eyes, etc. They are a form of blue. Okay. So if you've got hazel or green or gray eyes, they're the blue type. And the blue type, the primary nurture point is the lymphatic system. So a lot of these people have issues often arising with, mucus forming things. So overactive lymphatic system, asthma, hay fever, sinus issues, ear, nose, throat issues, especially in children, sometimes skin issues, or they might be hyperacidic where they get sore joints as well. So blue-eyed people may have had some of these issues, because remember, the eyes reflect what we've inherited from our last 4 generations. So parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents. And whether we manifest the best case scenario or the worst case scenario depends on how we eat, drink, think, live, and love. And that's what we're here for today. But also, that's what your children have chosen you as parents to do, to help them work out what is the best way for them to eat and drink and think and live and love. So we have a nurture point, and it's what we do with that nurture point that helps our lymphatic system and our immune system to thrive. So here's an example of a blue-eyed person. That's me, actually. So you can see that it looks a little bit greeny because it's a bit of yellow over the blue. So it looks a bit greeny. But for me, I've had many of those issues. When I was born, I wasn't thriving, and my grandma put me on pure cow's milk from her own cows at 6 weeks of age. No bottled milk, no formula or anything like that. She just put me straight onto cow's milk, and I did thrive. But also, it did create I think for myself, a dairy intolerance. And I have some dairy now, but usually I have very, very little. But you can see with my eyes that at 9 o'clock, the right eye is always first. And at 9 o'clock on the right eye, there are some flowers there, and they're in the lung area. At 3 o'clock on the left eye, we have another little flower, and that particular flower is in the heart area. So those 2 areas are my nurture points. So when I look at an iris, I could write 30 pages about my eye. There's so much information there. However, in my clinic and with my clients and students, I like to focus on the primary nurture points and the three things that jump out at me. So for me, it's the kidneys, the heart, and the lungs. So for me, I don't have an issue with those areas. However, I do need to drink every 2 hours, otherwise I might get a headache. I don't see myself as sick or having weak kidneys. It just means I need to drink regularly to keep them well. Can you see what I mean? I don't want to think that I've got weak kidneys. I just need to drink regularly so that I keep them well. Heart-wise, my granddad, my paternal granddad died of a heart attack at quite a young age, at 64. Now, I don't have any heart problems, but I'm someone who exercises regularly. I eat really well most of the time, and I exercise. And I don't smoke. So that's really super important for people with a heart nurture point. And also, things aren't always physical. Okay. So for me, it's really important to surround myself with people that I love and the people that love me, and also to do things that I love. So I choose to be in a family that I feel a lot of love for and that love me. In a profession I'm very lucky to that I absolutely love, and I recently I found dancing, and dancing I really love too. So you got to do things that make your heart sing emotionally, as well as things that make your heart stronger. Okay, so that's an example of a blue-eyed person. If you're a brown-eyed person, you're more likely to have darker hair and olive complexion. And 59% of the world have brown eyes. So nearly everyone in Asia, Africa, in many places, South America, and the lower parts of Europe have browner eyes. Okay. So brown eyes, the primary nurture point for these eyes are the circulation. So it's really important that they keep the circulation strong because they can get sluggish in the sense that they may get um, thyroid issues or glandular issues or constipation. They may have higher blood sugar levels. They may have other digestive disturbances and flatulence, or they may have liver and gallbladder insufficiency. But what we want is for them to have less less constriction and more circulation. Here's an example of a brown eye, and you can see that this eye has very good resiliency. Though the fibers that go from the pupil to the edge are very, very close together. So they're going to be a resilient type of person. Again, as I said before, it doesn't mean they're going to be healthier than you, but they might be a bit more resilient. And then we've got the mixed eyes. Now, mixed eyes are to do with our liver. So remember, just to recap, blue-eyed people are more likely to have lymphatic issues. Brown-eyed people are more likely to have issues to do with their circulation. And mixed-eyed people are more likely to have issues to do with their liver. So looking after the liver and gallbladder is really important. They may have constipation like the brown-eyed people, but they may have diarrhea as well because it can be interchangeable. They may have a lot of wind, a lot of blood sugar levels that change also, and other glandular conditions. Here's an example of a mixed eye. You can see that it's not pure brown, it's not blue, it's mixed. Now, there's certain things that we want to do if we're blue-eyed or brown-eyed or mixed people. And this is probably the most important slide for you and for your children who are this type of iris. So if you're blue-eyed, vigorous exercise, mini trampolining, and walking with swinging your arms is super important because you want to get that lymphatic system moving and flowing. The daily diet should contain a lot of fruit and vegetables, lots of things that are fresh, and also having enough water, 8 to 10 glasses of water, depending on your size, obviously. If you're a 4-year-old, like 4 glasses might be fine. Reducing the amount of mucus-forming foods is super important. So these include sugar, dairy, and white flour products. And some people might be asking, yeah, well, do I have to do this forever? And I usually say to my clients, no. But I do want you to follow my 80, 15, 5 rule. And that means 80% of the time, I would like you to follow this diet because it's the best one for you for this blue-eyed person. 15% of the time, if you visit Auntie Mabel and she's made you a lasagna that's not gluten-free and you're not celiac, it might be fine. Don't worry about it. Have it, enjoy it with her. Or if you go to a restaurant that has very limited choices, make the best choice. And then 5% of the time is like your naughty time. And naughty time is, everyone loves to be a little bit naughty. My naughty time is if I have chocolate and chili together. Anytime I see that together, whether it's in a chocolate bar or in a cake or anything, I have it because I absolutely adore it. There's a particular cinema in Melbourne called the Nova that has chocolate chili choc tops, and I have one every time I go there. But I go there maybe once every few months. But it's my thing. It's my naughty time. Okay. Now, having said that, it's really difficult for kids to regulate their naughty time. If they've got Coke Zero in a 24 pack and let's say some mixed lollies or, Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolate in the pantry, and you say you can only have that 5% of the time, it's going to be very difficult for them. As adults, it's important for us to not have them in the house. If you don't want your kids to be eating that, it's better for us not to have them in the house. So they can have them when they go and visit Auntie Beryl, or they can have them when they visit their cousins. But if you want your kids to be healthy, you really need to make some decisions yourself about what you're going to have available, because the kids will have what's available. As I said, regular exercise, fresh air, and sunshine is really important. Having enzymes in our food, so having foods that are still live, like salads, things that we haven't overcooked. So having enzymes is super important for the blue-eyed people, and singing can be fabulous. It's a great exercise for the upper respiratory system. So I give this as an exercise to all my blue-eyed people. So if you've got blue eyes, sing to your heart's content in the car or in the shower or to your friends. If you're brown-eyed, it's really important to have things that don't make us more sluggish because you've got the predisposition to be sluggish. So we really want to avoid fried foods, heated oils, and junk foods. The diet should be high in fiber and low in animal fat. So we have to have enough fiber to really push our food through and avoid constipation. Having said that, also good fats are really super important to help line our intestines and give us lots of great essential fatty acids. So things like flaxseed oils, olive oil, avocado, coconut oil are fabulous. Dark green leafy veggies are really good for brown-eyed people, as all of us, but especially important for brown-eyed people because it helps to cleanse the blood. So for the brown-eyed people, the blood and the circulation are the primary nurture points. So things like dark green leafy veggies, spinach, alfalfa, bean shoots, things like that are really great to help that along. Raw vegetable juices like greens, wheatgrass, chlorophyll are great. Chlorophyll is a really super thing that you can buy from the health food store. They can add, it's like a green cordial. And, and kids can have it as a cordial in their water. It's quite yummy. It's got a bit of peppermint in it. Eat a diet rich in live enzymes and regular exercise because that will help improve your circulation. So we want to help our circulation along. If you're a mixed person, so the primary nurture point is your liver, we want to look after the liver. So things that overtax the liver are saturated fats, alcohol, dairy, red meat, rich sweets. They might fit into the 15 or 5% bracket for you. You'll feel better. Like even if for a few days you avoid having these, write to me if you don't feel better. With any of these wellness things, whether you're blue-eyed or brown-eyed or mixed, what I suggest is do it for a week. Just follow those things for a week most of the time. And if you don't feel better at all, then do some more investigation about what else might be happening for you. Lean white meat is super important, but hormone-free. You don't want chicken with extra hormones. There's enough hormones in our bodies already. We don't want extra ones that the chicken has ingested. All my mixed people, I ask to take some lemon juice in the mornings. And there's a really good video on my Facebook group about how to make lemon with a bit of honey and some ginger. But lemon juice in the mornings helps to cleanse the liver. So it's a great thing to start with. And also increasing your vegetable intake. The liver needs lots of colored vegetables. So, like my mother-in-law always had to have 3 colors on her plate. So she had her steak, but always had to have 3 colors on her plate. And there's something really to that. It's not just a taste. So having enough colored vegetables is a great idea too. So don't just love potatoes and cauliflower and parsnip. It's only white. And also, actually, to be honest, I don't count potatoes as a vegetable. I know it's yummy. I know our kids love them. It doesn't have much nutrition, especially the way we cook them, which is often fried and in chips and things like that. Adequate hydration, important, as is avoiding sugar. So we want to use stevia instead. And consider a liver cleansing program annually. So most of my mixed type people, once a year, have a note on their phone to come and see me for a liver cleansing program or to do something that detoxes their bodies. So from what we've seen in the masterclass already, you'll know if you're blue-eyed or mixed or brown. The most important slide for you, take a photo of it, is the wellness slide. That's the slide for you of how to keep yourself well. Also for our children. So you may want to take a photo of the kids' eyes or write their, the color of their eyes, on a piece of paper on the fridge and print these out. Print them out, put them on your fridge, and try and do some of these. Try and have a discussion with your kids that we're all born with a particular genetic system. And for you, the most important way to keep yourself really strong and healthy, use words like strong and smart and things like that the kids aspire to be. They don't necessarily just aspire to be healthy in the sense of eating lots of vegetables, but we want to use words that make them passionate about doing it. And generally, if we involve kids in their own diets, in their own wellness, in their own cooking, they're going to be more invested in it. Okay. So back to the Thrive Together program. So we talked about nutrition and some ways to help our bodies with moving, etc. Home remedies. One thing I think everyone should have in their cabinet is apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is so amazing at helping any sort of body ailment like a bruise or when we've hurt an ankle, a sprained ankle, anything like that is really good to use apple cider vinegar topically. Okay. Apple cider vinegar is really good to have internally as well, which helps their gut, but topically it's fantastic. And I'll tell you a story about that. My daughter Yasmina, we got home quite late one evening, and it was about 8 o'clock, and it wasn't daylight saving, so it was dark. But she always had to go and see her horses and make sure they had their rugs, and give them a few things to eat and stuff. And I said to her, "Darling, why don't you just wait till the morning? It's dark." But she had to go and see them, so she did. But one of the horses stood, not on purpose, but stood on her foot, and horses are quite heavy. And it wasn't for very long, but it still was enough to bruise her foot, and she was limping. And she was a bit sad because the next morning she was doing a fun run in our area around the lake near Lake William Hovell and places like that. And she was a bit upset because she really was quite competitive, and she wanted to win and all of that sort of stuff. So what I did is I gave her some arnica, and that's the other thing I think you should all have in your cabinet. Arnica as a pillules. I don't just mean arnica cream. I think you need to take it internally as well, and apple cider vinegar. So I gave her some arnica. I covered a face washer in apple cider vinegar, and we put it over her foot, and we put a sock on. And I know it's smelly, it smells the sheets, but we can wash them. So in the morning, she woke up and she felt so much better with her foot, and she ran and got first in her age group. Like, I don't think that would have happened if I just gave her the arnica. I needed it to be quick. Sometimes we need a few things. So if anyone gets hurt, always, excuse me, always take some arnica pilules. Okay, as a homeopathic. You can get them at your health food stores. If you're struggling getting them, give me a call. If you're in Australia, it's easy for me to send them. But you can get them in most health food stores. Arnica 30. And apple cider vinegar is great as a poultice or just to put on little areas where there's bruising or where we need to heal that particular joint or area. It's fantastic. Okay. Now, when you're shopping, we're going to have in our Thrive Together program, we'll have lots of recipes and things about what to use in certain situations when we're cleaning. But a really easy thing to use is vinegar and bicarb. Vinegar is a great cleaner. It's great for our mirrors and our windows. It's great for cleaning surfaces, and it's not toxic. That's the beauty of it. It's not toxic. So get some more vinegar Excuse me for a sec. All right. All right. So I was just letting someone into the group. So as I said, get some vinegar and some bicarb and use that as part of your cleaning. There are lots and lots of recipes online about less toxic environments in our home. So I would really recommend you try those. Okay. And you can have them ready. You can have them ready in a spray bottle. Doesn't, you don't have to, have thing, oh, I can't be bothered getting the vinegar and the bicarb, and just have things ready in your cleaning cupboard. Now, we talked a little bit about immunity. So some of the best immune herbs and best immune nutrients are vitamin C, zinc, and then we have others like echinacea and astragalus. Mushrooms, like Chinese mushrooms, are fantastic for our immunity. But what we want to do, especially in the change of seasons, okay, I find spring and fall the most important times to do these changes. We want to really boost up the vitamin C in our children. And when I'm saying vitamin C, I don't mean, sorry, just letting someone else in. Okay. So when I'm saying vitamin C, I don't just mean, like a little gummy bear of it. There's some really good vitamin C powders that when you take a teaspoon of vitamin C, you're getting 3 grams. You're getting, if you have half a teaspoon, for most kids, half a teaspoon is fantastic. You're getting 1.5 teaspoons, 1.5 grams, so not teaspoons, 1.5 grams of vitamin C. That's a lot. It's not just like a 500 milligram one that's not easily absorbed. Okay, so getting lots of vitamin C is a great idea, as is zinc. Now, zinc is super high in our foods, is super high in pumpkin seeds. It's high in other things like oysters and things like that, but I'm not really expecting your kids to love those. But pumpkin seeds are great. And you can use pumpkin seeds in making your balls. Okay, you can use pumpkin seeds in making your balls. You can use pumpkin seeds in many other ways as well, but in smoothies is a great. I don't necessarily suggest just eating them because the kids aren't going to chew them enough, and we often don't chew them enough. And with echinacea, some of you may have used herbs with your children before, and it's a bit hard to take sometimes tincture herbs, which are quite strong. Sometimes kids just get used to it. My kids have got used to it over times, but I did go through a stage where it's like, I'm not asking you to like it, just take it. I did go through a stage of that, but now they don't question it. But drop doses are great. So you could have like the echinacea or other herbs and just give your kids some drop doses, like a few drops in water. And that is enough to really stimulate the body's immune system to make it stronger. We talked before about magnesium. Magnesium is a brilliant nutrient for sleep. It's great for when we're tired. It's great at keeping our hearts working well, great at keeping our minds working well. It helps us with our studying, but it's really good before sleep. So if you're someone who struggles sleeping, and if your kids struggle sleeping, I really recommend magnesium. And for children, I use something called from Blackmores called CPMP or PPMP. So it's either calcium and magnesium or potassium and magnesium. And they chew it. And it tastes a bit chalky, but it's not a bad taste at all. So they like to chew them. And I've had such good success with kids' sleep and using that, as I have with Bowen therapy and other things. There's lots of other things that you can use as well. But doing that is an amazing way to keep your kids sleeping more deeply and yourselves. I have some clients who swear by Carmex, which is a a formula that has some taurine in it as well, and it has really good things for our brains, as well as magnesium. And they take it before bed and have such a deeper sleep. So magnesium. Now, digital wellness is a huge topic, and ideally, what most people say that have done research on our brains and screens is that 2 hours per day is what we should be doing in front of a screen. Now, I know I don't do that because I sometimes work in front of a screen and I teach for 8 hours. And after I teach, I need to answer some emails. I'm on my phone. So that's not always possible. But it's a really good thing to be striving for, especially for our young children. There are many parents out there that have no screens for young children under 2, which I think is amazing. However, it's not always the reality. Sometimes I know that sometimes screens help us to get the dishes done or help us to get dinner made. So that, and that's a reality. And when I became a parent, someone said to Sandy and I, you have you have your ideals, and we had so many ideals when we were, first time parents, and then you have reality, and that was huge because we couldn't do all our ideals. And our ideals was to have, was to have cloth nappies all the time. We, that was exhausting. Our ideal was they were going to eat only organic foods until at least they were 1 or 2 years old. That worked with our oldest twins. We did it until they were 11 months old. And 11 months old, we went overseas, and then we couldn't do it anymore. But we didn't do it with our other kids because to be totally organic, it was exhausting. So you have your ideals and then you have reality. But what our reality was mostly like 80% of the time we did that. 15% of the time when we visited our grandparent, their grandparents and other things, there was leeway. The grandparents will sneak in a lint ball here and there. You obviously make rules, but with our oldest kids, we was so strict with them initially. And what it did was I would be much more balanced now. I'd be much more balanced. I would do that most of the time, but I would introduce sugar or, ice cream or something earlier on, maybe before that, because I didn't introduce that till they were 2 years old. It was hard work, but we did it. But with our younger kids, it was quite different. So the thing with parents is that there's a lot of guilt, and there's a lot of guilt being a parent anyway. So we don't want to create more guilt. We don't want to create, saying, "Oh my God, I've done this with my kids, and I've for all these years, I've let them have whatever screen they want or whatever this one." You know, don't, what I'm saying is don't berate yourself. Sometimes it is what it is, and we can make wiser choices now. Even if your kids are 14, or even if they're 16, or even if they're 19, we can still make better choices. We can still make better choices about what's in our pantry, what we choose, and we can model that. I mean, if I come home and just sit on my phone, I mean, I know I'm working and answering emails, but my kids don't always know that. So if I come home and do that all the time, that's what I'm modeling to them. So you need to have time where you're doing things outside. You're kicking the footy together, or you're going for walks together, and and also time in the car. Like where we live is really we're really far from a regional centre. We're about 40 minutes or so from Wangaratta. So if I'm going to stay in town to pick up my kids from dance, let's say, or from soccer, I'm not going to just let them be on their phones. I want to connect with them first. Like maybe we'll put Spotify on, after 10, 15 minutes, but initially they know that what I want to do initially is connect. And it's really important to connect with our kids. So initially they don't be on their phones. They speak to me, tell me about their day, what was their favorite things. I tell them about mine. And maybe after 10 minutes, we put some Spotify on. But yeah, so thinking about how you use your digital screens and what you model to the kids is important as well. So this is what's part of our Thrive Together program, which I said I will tell you more about. These are some of the ebooks that you have available to you in the Thrive Together Masterclass group. So they're already in there. All you need to go is to the group. If you haven't joined the group yet, the link is in the email that you would have sent when you signed up for the masterclass. So go there, get into the group and download these. They're free for you to use. You can share them with friends. That's great. I love sharing information around. What I really want is for the world to be healthier and for us to have more connected and more healthy families, which is why I made this Thrive Together program. So please use these and share them as well. Now, with the Thrive Together program, it's my initial time that I'm doing this. And as a special bonus, because it's close to Christmas and close to Black Friday and close to Thanksgiving, I'm making it half price. So originally it's going to be 840, and when we start 847, when we start it next year, that's what the price will be. But I'm going to do one round of this program before we do before the end of the year, and that's a really good way for you to keep your kids healthy in spring and leading up into the Christmas period, and also if you're in the northern hemisphere to keep them well over that spring over that winter period, because that winter period can get long in January and February when there's lots of snow on the ground, etc. So what you get as part of the program is some 6 weekly trainings, 6 question and answer sessions where you can answer whatever questions you need. There's an e-manual that covers everything from each topic. So you don't have to take furious notes. I know you'll want to take lots of notes, but you don't have to take furious notes because there'll be a manual there for you. And then also be a recipe book, which I've tried to make really fun and nutritious. So kids love things that look really fun, that are colorful, and then are nutritious. So we focus on all of that. However, the bonus, and this is what I'm not going to be offering next year, the bonus is that I'm going to do an iridology assessment, a nurture point assessment, which is about 10 to 15 pages long for all of your children. I know that's crazy, but I love doing them. And I'm going to do one for all of your children. There's also going to be a masterclass called Parenting Inside Out by my wife, Sandy King, who does a lot of emotions coaching for parents and kids. So that's a really great.
Oh, it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And then there's a Raid birth order course, which I'm throwing in. That's another 5-hour course and an introduction to Bowen therapy. So if you like the sound of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share now. Okay. So if you like the sound of that, all you need to do is go into the chat. I'm going to put the oops. I'm going to post the link in the chat, and you'll also get a link in the Facebook group as well. But thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to answer some more questions now, but I'm going to pause the recording first.